Alright, so this is going to be a tutorial with how to create artificial lighting in the photo, and also to create drop shadows on your objects or people uh, in your photo manipulation. So to get started, I'm actually going to create an artificial light source in my picture here. Some of you may have like a brighter area in the picture, and you can use that as a light source. But for like my picture here, I'm going to like create like a sun up here in the picture. So in order to create a light source or create like kind of like a glow effect, there is a way you can do that in Photoshop. You go to Filter, and you go to Render. It's Filter, Render, and then Lens Flare. So basically when you create actually going to create a new layer. So make a new layer. It's going to be layer 1. Render, lens flare. I think I have to do on my background layer. So you can go to your background layer, render, lens flare. And this is going to allow you to create a light source in your picture. Now, so yeah, it's basically just doing it on that background layer. So I'm just going to do like filter, render, and then lens flare. And then you can see it in like the little picture here, how it looks. You can also like change the effect on what the lens flare does. I'm actually going to do more of like a bright white. You can kind of play around with this though. The only thing is you have to click OK to see how it looks. Like that's a little bit too bright, so I'm just going to do Command Z to undo. And I just have to play around with it to get the effect that I want. I'm going to actually do this orange light though. And let me lower it. So, I mean, that's pretty good. So I'm just going to play around with using that as my light source. So now that I have like a hard light source, now I can start to figure out how I'm going to apply apply shadows on my characters. So, like this character right here, I'm actually going to make him a little bit smaller just because I want to really exaggerate the drop shadow in the picture. So he's going to be smaller over here. Put them further into the background. And the way we're going to create those drop shadows is we're going to basically make this person into a separate layer. So what I want you to do with the layer mask, you're going to go to the delete bucket. And when you go to the delete bucket, it's going to say apply mask to layer before removing, and you want to click on apply. So basically what's going to happen is the mask is going to be applied to the image, so now you have the image as a separate cutout. So in order to have like to use it as like an object or like apply effects to it, we have to get rid of the layer mask. Alright, but yeah, so you want to do that, but just make sure you cut it out neatly before you do that. Otherwise, at this point you can't really go back and fix things. So now that we have this on a separate layer, we're going to create a duplicate layer. And we're going to use this duplicate layer as the shadow. So we have a copy of the same layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to do Command T as in turtle. And we're going to rotate it upside down. So you're going to rotate it upside down, and you're just going to do like kind of like a mirror effect on the image. So now in order to turn this into a shadow, what we're going to do is on this layer, we can just title it shadow. So we know what layer it is for what. And if you click on this lock button here, it's only going to lock in that specific layer. So whenever I color in black on a specific layer, it's going to create a drop shadow for the picture. So that's how you're going to create the drop shadow. Is you're going to do that. And you're going to unlock it. And basically, if you don't lock it, so this is what happens. It's going to just color the whole thing. But it's only going to color that specific area if you click that lock button. So we're just going to color it black. And we're just going to lower the opacity down to, you could do like 50%. So, that's basically how you're going to create the shadows. But I actually want to, since it's on the top left where my picture is, I'm actually going to move this guy in the front here. We're going to have to like stretch and skew the shadows a little bit more. So again, you're going to do Command T as in turtle. And want to say, let me see. Okay, so you're gonna have to click on this button here, and this is gonna allow you to kind of like stretch and skew the picture a little bit more. So we can. Wish there was a better way of doing this. Let me see. Maybe it's under edit, transform. Okay, I think it's a skew button. So yeah, that's actually a better one to use. So you go to edit, transform, and go to skew. So this is gonna allow you to actually just stretch out the parts of the picture. So we're gonna stretch it out to this way just because of where the shadow is located, and you can stretch it out that way, and just kind of like create that illusion of the shadow. But this is gonna skew it, and then you can go back to Command T to move it back that way. So you're gonna have to play around with the skewing and the transforming. So Command T, I'm just doing that to transform it. But that's how you're gonna create like that shadow that you want. And I'm actually going to so I'm just doing shift click to select both of these layers, and you can just move this around a little bit more. I'm gonna move it around, maybe make it smaller. So you can have to like kind of play around with it a little bit more as you're working. And it kind of got stretched a little bit too much, so I'm just going to do edit, transform, and skew it a little bit more. So it kind of skewed a little too much, so I'm going to just bring it back a little bit over this way. You got to play around with it though. So just click apply, and I mean that looks pretty good there. And another thing you can do too is under your shadows, you can also do filter, blur, Geschwomb blur. So if you think the shadows are a little bit too harsh, you can always blur it out a little bit to kind of create more of like that, realistic look. So, again, you would do like the same thing with like this layer here. This hand, I'm going to delete the layer, apply it, copy or duplicate the layer. So we have a copy of it now, rotate it. So I'm just holding the shift key to rotate. When you hold the shift key, it just rotates it perfectly. And I'm gonna put on the, actually I'm just gonna leave it right here for now just because I have to color it in black. Lock the layer, color it in black, make sure it's a solid black, and unlock it. And then we're gonna put it under the hand. Change the opacity to 50 or however you want it to be. And then we're just going to do stretch and skew. So transform, skew. It's not letting me skew that way. I would transform it first because this shadow is actually going to be a little more crammed up. So we're going to like put the shadow here. And you really just have to play around with it, get the shadow looking. I don't know, you want to play around with distort. Oh, distort's actually a little bit easier to use. So, again, just play around with like the different transform options. You might get like better effects using other ones. I'm feeling like the distort works a little bit better. And I'm just gonna do the same Geschwomb blur. If you do Geschwomb blur, it's gonna do like the same type of blur over there. So, and just move the shadow a little bit higher. So, that's how you can get more of those realistic shadows. And then, remember you can also, for like these certain layers here, like this one, you can also do like your blending options. And, you can create a inner shadow within your person. So, show us. So inner shadow, just click on the option, and we're going to change the angle to the bottom. If you look at that little box, it's actually showing you where that shadow is being casted. I'm trying to make it so it's like just on the top area. I mean, it's not working exactly how I wanted it to, but oh, there we go. This kind of creates more like the illusion that the shadow's coming from like the very back. So I'm actually gonna change the angle a little bit more, maybe to the top right. I'm just looking at that there. You know, these are like little fine details you would add to the picture to make it seem like it's a little bit more realistic. You can also add a inner glow too to the picture. So you add that inner glow. Yeah, I don't know about how that's looking. I mean, this looks pretty good though. Maybe you might want to, you know, do like the dodging and burning that we mentioned before. So, you know, just remember like the dodging pushes the highlights a little bit more. So I'm just gonna push it a little bit more on the top side, and then the burn. This is gonna make it a little bit darker in some parts. As you know, you really want to exaggerate like the that the light's coming from like this side here. Yeah, that's how you would go about with adding like the drop shadows and creating like the light source. You know, if you wanted to do that. But I feel like the drop shadow is just a really nice detail to add to your picture, especially since you have like these people that are set there, and it kind of creates them in like that imaginary space.